Hey, this is Jay Weinberg, and I'm here in the studio with MixWave. It's been in my mind that this would be a really cool thing to do, but I really didn't know how to approach it or really where to start because it's something completely foreign to me. So when the opportunity presented itself with MixWave, it just felt like everything coming together that I always wanted. Speaking to Luke Holland about the library that he made and himself, sharing what MixWave has done with friends and peers of mine and these guys who I look up to and cherish not only just as friends but as drummers. When you start hearing those names, it's like, okay, I know how those guys have such particular, interesting, detail-oriented sounds, and they're meticulous about that element of their craft. That immediately appealed me to the project, and I totally knew that MixWave and I would be on the exact same page, and that's totally been true, It was really important for me to characterize things that I feel are inherent to the sound that is always kind of in my head and that I'm searching for in the music I play. As it pertains to snare drums, I really wanted to capture the essence of my signature snares that I've created with SJC custom drums, both a 48-ply maple snare that's just a total beast, and as well as a brass shell called the Crucible. And so we went down the gamut. Bell brass snare, a titanium snare, aluminum snare, stainless steel snare. That just scratches the surface of what we were able to do here. 2 sets of 2 kick drums, some that people are familiar with me playing live. That's a more shallow kick drum, 14 inches deep, and then some that are more bombastic and more Bonham-y, 20 or 22 inches deep. So going with, obviously my SJC drums has been a massive pleasure to just track all the dynamic expressions of these drums, so you guys out there can enjoy them as well. My Zildjian cymbals have been a staple part of my arsenal. Specifically, the 22-inch S-Rock Ride has been one of my favorite cymbals I've ever played in my life. It's been on the last 2 Slipknot recordings, and I've played every show in the last 5 years or 6 years or something on that thing. It's a total staple of my sound, no matter if I'm just wailing on it or doing really intricate kind of, really fast blast beats and stuff like that. It cuts through everything, and that's super important to me. Capturing other things that are kind of staples of my sound, the A custom crashes that I've used since I was a child, have always been part of my staple sound that I'm going for, whether that's in the studio or live. So be able to capture a dynamic range of expression on those was really important. Hitting every single note of this entire library myself with my signature Vader 908 sticks. We're all different in the way that we play. So to capture that dynamic range takes a lot and takes all day to work on just one snare drum or just one pair of hi-hats. But it's worth it, thinking about all the different articulations and the different ways you might strike, that particular element of the instrument. There's so much that goes into it because you have to analyze every single way you would hit something, whether that's with the tip of your stick or the shoulder of your stick, whether it's on the bow of the ride or the bell of the ride, or the tip of your stick on the ride or the shoulder of your stick on the ride. There's all those different expressions that we want it to be completely exhaustive to create the most dynamic representation of my drum set. I feel like those are details that are so important to when you're really trying to carve out a drummer's specific sound. It's about that complete connection, and I knew that that's what the team at MixWave was all about, and so that's what made it so endearing and so appealing to me, is that we're all coming from the same place where we want the complete expression of that person. And just as a fan of music, it's really rad to, be amongst drummers who I really love and appreciate, who have done the same thing with MixWave, because I'm a fan of the way they approach their instrument. It's completely different from the way I approach it, but the fact that MixWave is able to capture each drummer's personality and style and soul in the sound and share that with other people to now create the music that they're gonna create, that's an amazing thing. So yeah, it takes a long time, but also when you're surrounded with people and a team who really understand where you're coming from and you're all on the same page together, that makes it a total joy to work with, just all totally fun and artistic. We've got a lot of hockey fans on the MixWave team, so we've been watching hockey in between doing takes and stuff like that. It's really great. It's a truly enjoyable session experience, the first I've ever done, and I couldn't imagine an experience that would top this. And selfishly, I'm really excited to use this library in my own world as far as like doing home recordings, where it's like I have all my sounds at my disposal in this library because we captured them in such a way. So when I'm writing music and collaborating and stuff, I can already use without having to, you know, lug all this gear around to studios and set it up and the associated everything with that, the time, the energy, the cost of all that. It's great to have something that is just in my computer that's a complete representation of all these elements of my sound. These could end up on some actual, you know, studio recording, whether that's my own or somebody out there, maybe you know, like that's really exciting to me. When I was a young person learning how to play drums for the first time, you know, listening to records and putting on a whole record and doing my best to play along with it, I felt, if I close my eyes and I'm playing drums, like I felt like I was that drummer in that band playing those songs, you know. It makes you feel like you can step outside of your body and immerse yourself in song and in performance. I treat it much the same way, you know. I would want to provide something that allows people to step inside my head and what I like, because it's different from, you know, Mario Duplantier or Thomas Pridgeon or Tony Royster and these, you know, amazing drummers who have their specific sound. It's a real honor to be given the opportunity to capture what's in my head and share that for whatever anybody else wants to do. These drums that we recorded were just another step with my relationship with SJC Custom Drums, in that I want all the artwork to be all mine, you know, all from my hand, because I just feel like that allows, you know, an artist to really put their fingerprints on everything, you know, from the way the art is placed on the drum, to the tension rods, to the tuning pegs, to the hardware and everything, and the plies and the type of wood and all that. You know, that's true sense of craftsmanship, and you have your hands on the steering wheel of your destiny with finding your sound, and that's really appealing to me. I came up with, God, I don't even know, like 20 different panels of original art with a bunch of different mediums, whether that's ink and spray paint or watercolor, resin pouring or pen and ink, oil painting, all that kind of stuff. Like everything kind of went into this. Each drum doesn't necessarily match each other, but there's a cohesive vision to it, which is really rad. I've done that with SJC for a number of years now, making kits that are all very mismatched. Taking that, you know, another step further and doing, you know, a new round of completely original artwork. That's important in not just with how we're crafting the sound, but the complete artistic expression, because, you know, these drums will be played on stage and they'll be visually rendered in the MixWave module, so you're looking at the kit as it exists, and that's awesome. It's all just a part of extending as far as I can into the artistic process of everything it is that I do. And be here with MixWave creating a drum library of these drums, it's like, it's completely mind-blowing. If you had told me that when I'm just, you know, doing pen and ink stippling drawings, you know, in my bedroom, my mind would explode if I knew what we would be sitting here doing today. So it's incredibly exciting.